So how do the Buddhist people benefit from cross-national happiness? Basically, we see that happiness at the end of the day and at the individual level must be the responsibility of the individual. Government literally cannot go around putting smiles on people's faces. However, we see, and this was the motivation behind with which His Majesty the Fourth King, the author of Cross-National Happiness, articulated this development approach. What we see is that if at the end of the day, basically what Buddhist people want is to lead a happy life, then that it should be the purpose of the government in terms of its development to ensure it creates conditions to enable our people to lead their happy lives. And so we see that the benefit to our people of the government focusing on cross-national happiness in terms of those 9 areas is that when we strengthen the conditions in those terms of those 9 areas, then people have all the conditions necessary to lead a very meaningful and happy lives. And in terms of the framework we use to support the cross-national happiness approach to development, we have these 9 areas or 9 domains. And we could say that, or the analogy we like to use is that there are 9 bowls, and that if these 9 bowls are full, then you would be likely to lead a very happy life. However, we also recognize in the GNH Commission that everything in life is impermanent, and that even these indicators that sit in this framework of the 9 bowls or the 9 domains, that they could change, because they must be relevant to the generation whose aspirations they represent. However, we see that while these indicators etc. could change, that the underlying values which are the source of these indicators, the source of these domains, that if anything should be timeless and permanent, it could be these values. And in the Buddhist context, we see these as good values that generations of Buddhists have passed down to us. And we must in turn ensure we pass these down to our children. And why do we feel that these should be timeless? These values are very simple values of love, compassion, respect for your elders, looking after your parents, and we feel that that should never change. Even 100 years later, we feel these values should still be the same. And indeed, if these values had to change, then it would be a very sad day, because we see these values, there's nothing wrong with these values. They have withstood the test of time, and that's why generations of Buddhists have passed them down to us, and we should be able to do the same. If we are able to do that, we believe in the GNH Commission that the true key to sustainable development is making choices which are based on values like this. And if anything should be permanent in this whole framework, and indeed in life, it should be these values.